Barnabas, Kizz Daniel, Barnabas EP. Kizz Daniel. Where can I even start with Kizz Daniel, bro? This guy has been relentlessly been present, even though he's not one of the names that you bring up when you're talking about like the number, like, you know what I mean. It's not one of the big three or the big four or the big five, but he's definitely up there as a very talented artist that constantly provides hit year after year. At least you bank on Kizz Daniel to give you one hit each year, and that's one thing you can never. And his EPs and his projects have been great too. His albums have been great. There's not been bad. There's not been any bad like albums from him so far. For a pop artist, that says a lot. I think his last album, King of Love, that came out last year, quite not terrible, but I think one of the big issues of that was the fact that it ended up being quite repetitive and lengthy for an album. But I think we still got some good moments out of that album. So we still got some like Boys Are Bad, you know what I mean, like type hits. And over this year, it came out with Lie and there's some other releases he had that didn't quite hit the mark. Like Flex, for instance, and Currency. Was it Currency or Currently? I can't remember the title of the song. But yes, he had moments that didn't quite hit the mark, but I think he caught one with Lie. Lie has been making mad impressions on radio, TV, and streaming as well. So it's one of the biggest records out this year. So that's Lie, number 6. But regardless of that, I'm sure he's going to come out with a moment here. And I'm excited to get into this one. This is a 7-track EP, 20 minutes record. Let's get right into it, man. Without any further ado, let's go. First track on Barnabas. This is Pour Me Water. Let's go. Okay, sax.
You dey call me your boyfriend, but why I still they pay for the sex every night? You don't need to say too much.
I don't understand. How? You call me your boyfriend, but I pay for sex every night. Which kind of boyfriend tag be that now? Like, how are you paying? That's wild, my G. Like, can't you read the setup here? Can't you read the transaction that's going on? You're not boyfriend material if you have to pay.
You dey call me your boyfriend, but why I still they pay for the sex every night? You
pray?
Don't need to say too much.
Did you say pray for the...
know you don't love me much.
Oh man, that's so sad. Oh, okay. That's an okay intro. Not the most like intentional of intros for the EP. But I can see the sentiment he's trying to portray here. It's about heartbreak, okay? Like, it's a heartbreak-centered song. I can see that he's talking about, like, not trusting this person that has betrayed him, this woman that has betrayed him, that somehow has tagged him as his boyfriend, but he still has to pay for this. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. But the track feels very, like, you know what I mean? It feels quite like a generic bounce to it. It's not necessarily like a high tempo or up tempo. Now that I would not even call it mid tempo. Maybe it's kind of mid tempo kind of vibe. It's not doing too much. It's not chaotic. You can see the strong sax at the end. Kind of trying to give it some jazzy elements, you know, to make it feel loungy. But it's not the greatest of intros. Not the most like attention-seeking intros for sure. But hopefully it kind of follows it up with a good record. Like Addict, okay, Addict. Let's go.
Today I go change my ways, Oh, to mommy be suga, After today I go change my way. La 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 la. No condom. La 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 la. Bad pop and yeah.
Similar elements that we got from the first track. It's bringing back here the sax, the loungy vibe. Okay. Decent record, not much to take out of it. I mean the main sentiment to just take out of it is the subject matter. It's quite interesting and like not out of the box really, but it's an interesting subject matter from a pop star. Usually we hear the same sentiment over and over again, and I like that he's being more creative. Now this is meant to seem a little bit like like a heartbreak versus how I'm dealing with my heartbreak or depression. And you can see him talk about his addictions on this record. So he's talking about like sex addiction, talking about like weed and drinking as well. And cocaine even too, like, you know what I mean, cocaine, you know what I mean, like, he's making all these references to point out to the fact that these are the ways he deals with his, I guess, devices that he's talking about. It's just an interesting sentiment. A lot of people self-medicate with a lot of things, and it's just expressing that point here. But I don't know he's expressing that point, but I don't know the end game of it to say. But sonically, it's still very much the same thing that you would expect from Kizz Daniel, and it sounds very much like the first record that we just heard. So far, so like they're quite similar in terms of the presentation, the sax there, the loungy vibe, the pace, the tempo is very similar so far. So it's sounding cohesive. I still want to, like, you know what I mean, get a little bit more dynamic elements to the EP. But I think he might do that on the third track. Let's see. This one's called A God, Barnabas. Let's see what he's saying. I want the energy. I want some more energy, man. You guys are 75% on this. You guys say this is an amazing record. This one is a sleeper. Yeah, I could see it being a... Yeah, anyway. Let's see. Yeah, beats by users is saying everyone's trying the Made in Lagos formula. I guess you can say that. The saxophone element, yes. People attribute that to Made in Lagos, and the tempo as well attribute that to Made in Lagos. Because, yeah, it was because of the impact that album made, man, and how apologetic it was. I think that's why many people would use it as the yardstick now for everything mid-tempo, you know. So, yeah, let's move to the next track, A God. Is this going to be another cohesive album, or is it going to make it dynamic a bit? Let's see. A God. Okay, this is different already. Let's go. Okay. Those are proverbs, man. I like the bounce. Let's go. Scatter ground. My hair now. Hey. Yo, nah. This is good. This is sounding like it's really like he's arranging it decently, like two mid-tempo records and then getting to a very high energy one that is meant to get you dancing and get you, like, you know what I mean, get you turns, which is honestly like a Kizz Daniel trait at this point. He definitely knows how to turn up the party with his vibes, with his Afro pop vibes, man, like very straight to the point, Afro pop lamba that he has, and the bounce that he goes with, and this is another clear example of that. This bounce is so catchy, you just want to vibe, I just want to party to it. So far, man. It has a little bit of a Rexy vibe to it. Like Mobad, I can hear Mobad on this. Hey. What? No, those electric pianos, come on. Some Sonny Ade type keys, you know? Yeah, man, like this is a good element. This is a good time to bring up the tempo, bring up the energy a little bit more. I love the elements that you can hear on the production here. Those drum rolls were crazy. The fact that he had some little subtle juju elements to it too. And you can hear those Rexy type effects that you hear on Mobad or Zlatan records, that you hear, like those vocal effects. I don't know what the effects are, but those records, like those Omo piano those Omo piano type songs, you know. But like I still feel like everything came together. Everything came well together, and it's a good high energy record. Yeah, that wasn't a bad record, and it was just, yeah, I like the sentiment too, man. The narrative of this was just like life is just cruise at the end of the day. But anyway, this is a good song. So let's get to the next track. This has become a thing now. We've seen the Cavemen being the dynamic element for a lot of people's projects, the Cavemen being such a strong and present, like, you know what I mean, just a revitalization of high life in the music scene, and one of the most sought out artists or groups right now to have on the projects. They've been everywhere, man. So I'm curious because I never saw Kiss Daniel having a Caveman record or having an Eastern High Life record. I think he has made Eastern High Life records before, but let's see what it comes out with the Caveman feature. Let's see. Interesting. How does Caveman blend? Interesting record, man. Interesting record. A tasteful amount of Cavemen we got here. Like usually Cavemen usually come on the song and damn near dominate the song, or at least take more precedence about it, or at least you see some mix of people's worlds and Kiss Daniel's world and the Caveman world. But I didn't say there was a blend of that. This was so Kiss Daniel all over this record. It's just like the Kiss Daniel that we've heard time and time again, and it doesn't spark as a very like interesting or out of the box Kiss Daniel that we've heard. But Caveman didn't bring much here. Like they didn't. Like I don't understand the Caveman feature. Like I understand we might have some subtle ways like ad-libbing and very 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 like minute drum rolls at the end. Like there wasn't much other than that, man. There wasn't much to say like this was a Caveman feature. But regardless, the song is interesting, similar bounce. For it's still serving the same old. It's not giving us essentially anything that. No, I mean, it doesn't feel like something that I haven't heard before, but it feels like a song that over time could age well and have a stronger impression. It has a nice catchy bounce to it. The song is just about like, you know what I mean, talking about the girl and you know what I mean, hailing the lady and telling her you could trouble the timeline. You know what I mean? It was nice cheeky lines there, but I don't know. It doesn't really strike me as much of a moment here. You know what I mean? It's like. It's subtle. It's very subtle. It just feels like we've heard this before type thing. And that's, I guess, one issue you guys might have, or people might have it, Kiss Daniel. I guess is the lack of... This is an EP. So it's understandable that he's giving us the same pop-centered... Not to say that Kiss Daniel is redundant and he gives us the same sound every time. But whenever he gets into his pop bag, this is him in his pop bag. And yeah, there's not much to write home out of it, is what I'm trying to say.
You make me burn like fire.
It's Young John, the wicked producer.
Okay, Young John.
When I'm 50, something, I still call you my honey pie. And I don't want nobody, but only you, my baby.
Yeah, those runs that he did there, interesting. A little bit of a Carnatic Bollywood type run there.
You make me shine like diamond up in the sky. You make me run like boat to some boat when I run back to you.
All right.
Everybody knows say I want me.
That was a decent song, Burn. Again, I feel like the song needed something to grab onto properly. The hook wasn't the strongest moment of the song, and the verses were just so like surface level lines. Even the lyrics like were just like we're piss poor here, man. Like obviously like it's not supposed to be like the forefront of this kind of music or this style of music, but in usual cases, like Kiss Daniel is an exciting lyricist as a pop act, but there's nothing exciting about what he was saying here. You make me burn like fire, make me shine like diamond, and like up in the sky, like bro, it wasn't doing much. It wasn't doing much. It wasn't saying much. And I thought and I hoped that it would have something to grab onto, but this song doesn't really have something strong to hold on to, like something catchy, something memorable, something you can feel like, okay, this can be stuck in my head. And the level of elements of repetition too could have helped. He was just getting too wordy on the chorus, and which didn't help it. And the bounce overall, I loved the intro of the song. The intro was amazing, and the way it entered about that 1950 something, that part was catchy. I think you should have carried that as the meat of the song, and I feel like that part would have been nice. I like that melody. I like that melody a lot. Like that would have been nice. That would have been something to hold on to. But but it wasn't really like put in our faces and carried on as the hook for it to be the hook, you know. But yeah, he had some little bit of vocal inflections, like a Bollywood type thing. Like you know what I mean, like all those. I think it's called kinetic vocal inflections. If it's like East Pakistani, or no, it's not East Pakistani. It's like, yeah, it's something in that part of the world, that you can hear that music style, that vocal style of delivery. He was having a little bit of that in the intro there, which was interesting. But yeah, a decent record. Missed opportunity for the hooks for me. Next track is one that we know already. Like, this is Lie. This is a strong banger. That is already making moves. One of the biggest records out this year.
Girl, I don't really care about your body type. What really matter now your vibe?
I'm sure this went up in a lot of weddings. I'm sure. This is a surprise. What am I hearing? What is going on here? He goes into this your way to beautiful girl. You know what I mean? That kind of bounce. And it kind of feels like a folk western type of bounce to it. You know what I mean? And he's having some baritone or bass background vocals there. It's interesting, man. I didn't see that shit coming.
It looks don't matter. It's what you do that counts.
Oh, I like this. Oh, I love a dynamic record. Let's go.
Everybody know I'm in my own zone. I'm a king, I'm a queen, cause I say so. Tell it, freaky. It looks don't matter. It's what you.
Yo, this is interesting, man. What is going on? It's the fact that he's pulling like a different whole sonic direction from the entire EP is standing out. This is obviously standing out, and it's crazy that he's having that as the outro, which is good actually. But it's such a standout record from the entire body of work so far, man.
Teddy Babman put a little more.
Okay. That's a solid outro. That's a solid way to see out the album, you know, or the EP rather. Interesting that he went to that direction of, you know what I mean, like finger snapping, Eastern folk type of bounce, but did it in such a romantic way, because it does warrant such a romantic connotation about loving yourself, or loving the substance of yourself, or not seeing attraction as your first point of contact, but rather the content of the character as what you should be like, you should be attracted to. And I rate that sentiment. I rate the narrative. It's quite sweet. It's quite romantic too, and just the entire twists and turns that the song has. My goodness, from the bass or the baritone vocal backgrounds you can hear there, that was interesting. That you just do like what's up, Bakala, like a nice back and forth like corner sports element that you can have there. And then what strikes me as a very short but odd verse from a Kelvin Colt. I don't know who that is. It sounds like a US rapper maybe. It was weird. It was a weird thing to throw in there. To mix. It had like 2 or 3 bars, very short verse, and it was kind of like wayward to me. It's just like, okay, I could move past that immediately, but at the end of the day, the song just saw its way out, bringing the sax in there, giving it like a grand exit type of atmosphere for the album. As an outro, this was very strong. This is strong. It helps you see the EP out, and I like the sequencing. I like the sequencing of this project a lot. Like this like it let the change in tones and peaks of the album not feel so drastic anytime it changed. But I think the outro, for that being the outro, it made sense because it's such an outlier from the rest of the songs that have such a huge or strong Afropop sentiment around them. This one just had a straight vocal record that was just different. That was just so different. And that was so Western too. This is so Western. but it's sweet and it has like a very positive message around it, and I like it. Probably one of my favorite records on this one. EP overall, this is a good EP. This is not terrible. To say the least, it's not terrible. It's not a terrible EP. There were moments that I felt like there were missed opportunities with hooks. Like they could have made some much more catchier hooks or a stronger attempt at doing the same thing that he has been doing. So we got that from palmwinepapi and Addict, which had like similar sentiments and similar vibes too. But we quickly got out of that with the A God record that was a straight up banger, like straight up like Afropop, like Mr. Kizz Daniel. Once you hear Kizz Daniel hit, almost similar to Lie. Like once you hear Kizz Daniel's song that will go up in the weddings or parties, you can hear that very high energy, very up tempo, and I like the run that he did there. On Oshe was featuring Cavemen was an interesting weird mix of Cavemen and Kizz Daniel because there wasn't much of Cavemen there. It was just little subtle Benjamin backgrounds in the second or third verse, like not even in the front of the song, but he had a high life bounce to it, but not the high life that you would attribute to a Caveman. He had a much more contemporary take on high life. You know what I mean? High life has evolved over time, but he had a much more contemporary take, feeling much more something like an Afropop infusion of high life, not really high life in its rawest form that I think Cavemen offer. That they offer high life in its rawest and purest form, in the vintagey texture. You know what I mean? The drum elements, the live instruments. Usually they bring that into the record, but I didn't get any of that on this record with Kizz Daniel. It was all Kizz Daniel. It felt like a generic Kizz Daniel song you've heard before, and it was like, how did the Cavemen come in here? And they didn't really come in there because there wasn't much doing there. And then there was subtle drums at the end, subtle live drums at the end. Wasn't much of a song, and it wasn't much of a moment to attribute to, like, oh my gosh, it's a Cavemen feature. And then we get into Burn. That was a missed opportunity with having a strong hook. It was just going all over the place. It was trying to be romantic, but very, very low hanging fruit lyrics, like you're the sky, you're the moon, you're the diamond in the sky. Some cheesy ass lines, like very cheesy record, very like been there, done that. And then we get into the club, or not a club banger, but like the major smash hit that we know as Lie, which is a very, very strong Afropop in its elements. A very well like catered record because it was presented to us as a single, and immediately like that's a song that catches you, and definitely one of the strongest points of the EP. And then we get into the outro, which is Skin, that we just heard right now, a straight up outlier out of the rest, and honestly it might be the strongest moment here. It had this vocal elements to it that was just very well pure, and Cool Blonde, I didn't expect that from Cool Blonde, man. That was interesting. Very dynamic elements to it. The background vocals, the you know what I mean, the bouncy romantic sentiment, good message too. Good overall arrangement of the project. And yeah, I think this was a decent EP. It's not necessarily his best body of work for sure. I mean, when it comes to bodies of work and projects, I think this might be even his weakest attempt. I won't lie to you. But getting 7 tracks, you would expect it to be more concise and straight to the point and just strut, like you would filter all the like fat away, but you can still hear some fillers here, like tracks like Burn, tracks like Oshe, even something like palmwinepapi, which again was doing the same thing that Addict was doing, just different subject matters. So a lot of fillers and redundancy in this one, so it doesn't really strike me as his best body of work. And when it comes to my favorites, like I said, I think Lie and Skin and A God would be my favorites. My least favorites would be Burn, Oshe, and palmwinepapi. And those would be my least favorites. And when it comes to my overall take on this, my overall rating for this body of work, which is coming at an interesting time in his career, Kizz Daniel, Barnabas, I'm giving, and I'm feeling like a strong, and I don't think I'll be swayed anyway out of this. A strong 6. It's a strong 6 out of 10 for me. Decent record. A lot of interesting things that could have been done with it. But anyway, how you guys feeling about this one? How you guys feeling about this EP? Let me know about the EP. What you think about the EP? What were your favorite records? What were your least favorite records? And how would you rate it?